How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
How the education system in Dubai looks like? Why did you choose Canada? How was the culture shock for you, like when you landed here?
Oh,
How do you come to this opportunity? How should an international student get it? So did you ever face Islamophobia or racism in any way? Hello and welcome to the Canadian Dream podcast. Today we have with us a special guest, Aliya Ali, joining us. And she recently graduated from University of Toronto. She studied neuroscience and human biology. Also has her own startup called Meds for Less. And all of this just at the age of 22. What a spectacular guest to have on show. Very warm welcome to the show, Aliya.
thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Excited.
So let's just dive right into it. And she was born and raised in Dubai, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yep.
And her roots are Indian, and now she's studying in Canada. So my first question would be, I'm not sure, like I have no idea about how the education system in Dubai looks like. And why did you choose Canada? So what was like the force to come to Canada and, study at University of Toronto? So what were all these decisions that you made? If you could just talk about that.
Sure, absolutely. So, we all know about this. We all have a dream to study abroad, foreign education, top education in the world. So U of T obviously is #1 in Canada and top 20 in the world. A dream for all of us. So that was one of the main reasons I wanted to come to Canada and U of T specifically. But also the education in the UAE is just not as great as I would like it to be, unfortunately. The top university in Dubai is top 700 in the world, but the top university in Canada is top 20 in the world. So obviously you see a big difference. And the next thing, I don't know if you guys would be aware, is that you actually don't get your passport in Dubai, even if you're born there. So me and my whole family was born there. My dad has been running a business for 25 years, but there's no stability. And we all want to immigrate and get the passport and get the PR. So that's another reason why I came here. Top quality education, get that PR, get that citizenship, get all those benefits. And that's why I'm here.
All right. Okay. So, you were like, how many years were you in Dubai?
My whole life.
Your whole life. All right. So, which brings me to my next question. How was the culture shock for you, like when you landed here?
Oh, it was terrible. Terrible. So even though I was telling myself I was prepared, I was not. So when I first came here, there were no bidets, right? The shower and the toilet. Big shock. Big shock.
Yeah.
It's not in the airport. It's not in the airplane. It's not in the hotel. It's nowhere. Okay.
Yeah, nowhere to be
And then
found.
I had to carry water bottles with me, and it was so gross. And I was like, this is what my life has come to. But we got to make some sacrifices. The next culture shock was the halal food. So every single thing is halal in Dubai. As a Muslim, you're only allowed to eat a specific type of food.
Yeah.
But over here, you have to make sure if it's halal or not. Their cheese has pork in it. There's alcohol everywhere. They just love their pork and cuisine. Yeah. So those were the two biggest shocks coming here.
All right. So let's talk more about your education background. So you mentioned that studies in Dubai or UAE are not as great as we can find here in Canada, right? So you told me that you got scholarship for University of Toronto, right?
Yeah.
How did you score that? And how did you get it? How hard or easy was it for you to grab that opportunity?
Yeah. So Alhamdulillah, I've been very grateful and very fortunate to have secured more than $200,000 in awards and scholarship. In my first year, I got $187,000. So it was the International Scholar Award and also an award for first years. And this was merely based on academic merit in high school.
Oh.
So, a lot of people say grades don't define you, grades don't matter, but the reality is that grades do matter. And the crazy thing is that I didn't even apply for this scholarship. $180,000, I just got it.
Yeah.
God just sent it to me.
Yeah.
How? Why? Based on my grades in high school.
Yeah.
I had no idea because this was the first time the scholarship was even implemented. So I didn't even know that it existed. And it all happened because of my grades and God's grace.
Wow. So how do you think it was a hard step, or did you like, what research did you do? Like, what did you search? What was your, the prompt that you gave to internet? Like, how did you search it, and how do you come to this opportunity? How should an international student get it? So what was that procedure like, or should be that procedure?
So there was actually another scholarship that I applied for, which is called the Lester B. Pearson Scholarship. This is a full ride. So it covers your living expenses and your tuition fees as well. Unfortunately, there's less than 1% chance of getting it. So this is catered towards like top-notch students that are changing the world before even coming to university. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of big scholarships at places like U of T that you can apply to. So the scholarship that I talked about, there was no application. They just automatically assess all of their applicants when they apply for admission.
Yeah.
And they look at your high school grades, and that's it. But this was 4 years ago. I don't know if things have changed now.
All right. Okay. So, so in a way, like once you start applying, they automatically consider you if you're eligible for it or not. Okay, so we talked about the cultural shock and how did you get into the University of Toronto, and there are some other struggles that people sometimes face, right? I don't know about Canada itself, but in India, when you're in India, you face colorism sometimes, you face casteism, right? And a couple other discriminatory things happen there. But when you come to Canada, there are so many other things happening because there's a lot of diversity, so many things happening, right? So coming from the religion that you are, did you ever face Islamophobia or racism in any way in Canada?
I've actually been so fortunate to have not faced anything like that. I know people that have faced Islamophobia and racism. It's scary, but God has been so kind to me that I have not, alhamdulillah. So, and it's especially because I live in Scarborough and it's filled with diversity, as you said.
Yeah.
Downtown's different, but even in downtown, I haven't faced anything. I think that, I don't know, you just have to trust in God, be confident, don't be scared. Nothing's going to happen, so.
Right. I was talking about my personal experience, and I'm actually so happy for you that it never happened to you. But when I came here, I think I also faced racism, and I did face colorism even here, and I did face like some people just coming to your face and saying, go back to your country, stuff like that. But this is not with everybody. This is what I want to focus. Like when I started this podcast, I knew that this is going to be different for every person who's coming to Canada, right? And especially for people coming from different countries, not just India. I think we Indians do face this, which is not with every person, but sometimes it does happen. And when it happens, what I suggest is sometimes when you know the other person's very agitated, like in situations when we are faced with homeless people, let's say, right? Never risk it. Never risk it. Like if you never know how the other person's going to react. It's not like they're harmful all the time, or they're going to cause anything like any drama or anything, but you never know. Sometimes some people do attack, and I have seen this personally, so I'm just talking about it on screen so that you know what you are coming into. So just always be prepared for that. And yeah, so moving forward, I would also like to ask, like, Canada people, when they come here, they know how it's going to be like, right? So did you know how is it going to be like, the job wise, the culture wise, how it's going to turn out? Anything about it?
No. So I was not informed about anything coming here because I do not have any seniors, no family. I was walking into something that was completely new. Nobody told me that there was a housing crisis here, there was a job crisis here, and so many problems and adjusting and lack of money. So no.
How do you handle this particular part? Sometimes when we're working, right, this part happens when you feel like, okay, so the funds or the salary or the money that I have to balance it. How did you learn it, or did you already have an idea, or did you learn it after coming here?
I was very fortunate that my brother was employed at Microsoft at the same time I got into university. So finances were not as big of an issue. He was taking care of me.
So also she has her own startup called Meds for Less. And I would like to talk more about it. And my first question to you would be, what about it? Like, tell me about it, and how did it start? Like, what inspired you? Moving on to those questions, but what is Meds for Less?
So Meds for Less, as the name suggests, makes medicines affordable.
Mhm.
It's a startup that is bringing medication from India to places where people are struggling to afford their medication just because of cost.
Mhm.
And so Meds for Less is trying to bridge that gap that exists in the world.
All right. So, who inspired you to start this?
It was actually a personal story, struggle that happened in our own family. So when my dad hit 60, so what happens in Dubai, it's not like Canada where healthcare is free. There's no
Yeah.
concept of provincial healthcare. Everything is private. So what happened is that when you reach a certain age, your health insurance price just significantly jacks up. So when my dad hit 60, everything got super expensive for him. And then it wasn't sustainable anymore because we couldn't afford it. So then he had to downgrade his health insurance to like the most basic level, to the point that 6 months in, his health insurance just ran out. Like it had reached the medicine limit, because my dad has diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, all of those things. So we reached a point where he has to start paying out of pocket, which was extremely expensive and unsustainable, because like these expenses are really expensive, right? So because we're ethnically Indian and everything is cheaper in India, we decided to order medications from India as well. And there was a 70% savings, including doctor prescription and shipping cost.
Okay.
So we saw that this was a massive opportunity to help people, because there was a need not just in our own family, but like in our family, friends. We even went to labor workers, taxi drivers, bus drivers, even nurses. All of these guys either had no insurance or the worst insurance, and they were all struggling. Everybody, they come to different countries, to Dubai, to like Canada, to send money back home. These people couldn't even afford their own medicines because they had to send money to their families.
Yeah.
They're living in the worst situations possible.
Yeah.
So that is what inspired us, because we want to help people, but at the same time we saw that even if we're making a little bit of money for it, because it is for profit, the customer is still getting 50% savings at least.
Yeah. So what are your targeted countries for now?
For now, we're definitely targeting the UAE and the rest of the GCC. So like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, all of like the Arab countries. And then eventually we want to come to Canada, US, even Africa, where there's so much of corruption.
So is it just you in Meds for Less, or do you have a team associated, or do you have more people?
Right now, it's me as the founder, and we have occasional volunteers that come and go. I don't have money to be paying people right now, but I have a board of advisors and mentors that are supporting us.
So have you generated your income just for yourself so far from your startup?
No.
Not yet. So how do you plan to monetize it? Like, what are your next steps for it?
So definitely going ahead with a marketing campaign is the first step. Because right now, the past 1.5 to 2 years, we've just been figuring out the logistics, the legalities, partnerships, what percentage markup to add, and so many things that have been happening alongside my education and family responsibilities that we haven't really had the opportunity to really kick off. So the next step would definitely be, getting those customers and just getting it running.
All right. So let's say there's an international student, right, who wants to have his own or her own startup. So what would your advice be to them?
I would say just do it. Just do it. Don't overthink it, because the more you overthink it, the opportunity goes away. Like the time is now, right? Otherwise, somebody else is going to have the same idea and they're just going to do it. And then, oops, you're too late now, right? You never wait in the world of startups. The competition is crazy, especially with AI. So just do it, but know that it's not going to be easy. There is going to be struggle. It's not all glamorous as it seems and all fancy. That all comes many, many, many years later. Or people are doing it on loan and borrowing money from other people. So know that it's hard. Explore whether this really what you want, and why do you want this, right? What is your goal behind doing this? Is it because somebody else told you to do it? Is it because you saw a problem, somebody's struggling and you want to change that? So you really have to explore and really think deeply. But once all of that is set, just do it. But also do market validation. See whether there's actually a need for it, or whether this is all in your head and you think that people need it. There's a big difference with that.
So how do you think Canada support entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs? Like, do you think there are more opportunities for them, like funding wise?
So I don't know about Canada because I haven't reached out to external organizations, but U of T specifically has been so helpful. Initially, I didn't think that they had opportunities, but they had so many opportunities. I've had more than $30,000 in scholarships and awards from U of T. You know, so much of recognition, you know, being on their website, being on their Instagram and social media, and a lot of recognition and support that I've gotten from U of T that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
So according to University of Toronto, is helpful when it comes to their own students, international students, or like startup wise.
Yes.
All right. So so you've been managing this work life and student life, right? So how has it been for you? How did you juggle between those two? Because how long did you study for? 4 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you manage that? Like, how did it come from?
It was a big transition actually, because just when I started my business, at the same time I was coming into Canada. So it was like 2 transitions at the same time, because my first 2 years were online because of COVID, right? So I only came into Canada at 2022 when we started the business, and there were so many like pitch competitions that I was doing as well. So it was definitely challenging in the beginning. I would say prioritization is so important, and also study smart and not hard, right? It's not always about hard work. It's about smart work as well. In the world of AI and chat GPT, I mean, use those resources, you know, to help you, inspire you. So that's like my biggest recommendation. Time management, have a support system. Like, so many times I literally just wanted to give up. Like it can be really hard. And it's like, why am I even doing this anymore? And what's my purpose in life? Because sometimes I feel like I'm everywhere doing so many things. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So having a support system, mentors, friends, families, even just journaling, it really helps. And even, you know, things like that.
So when we start something new, right? Whether it's a project or a startup or any business, anything, we have so many doubts coming in our head. And there's this term called imposter syndrome, right? Where we feel that we don't have enough confidence, or I don't know if I have it in me or not to face the world the way I want to, or achieve the dreams that I want to. So how did you manage that? Like, how did you provide that confidence to yourself that, Aliya, you can do it? What was that thing for you?
It's so hard. Imposter syndrome is close to my heart. It's the biggest struggle that I've faced as an entrepreneur and just as a person in general. Typically, high achievers get imposter syndrome a lot because they feel like they're not doing enough. They feel like they don't belong here, that they don't deserve it, that somebody else is doing better and they deserve it more than me. And so many things of just like beating yourself up and not believing in yourself. And I think that the biggest obstacle in our lives is us ourselves. And so in order to overcome ourselves, we have to overcome ourselves. You know? And so we need to start believing in ourselves. We need to build that support system that I keep talking about. You need to reward yourself, appreciate yourself more. Tell yourself that you deserve to be here and you can do it. Like, God has put you in this position, not anybody else. So who are you to say that you don't deserve it? Wow, this is crazy. I feel like
blowing your own mind. Yeah, this happens a lot. Actually, I mean, I have faced this so many times. When I sometimes sit on this chair asking people questions, I know that they have achieved a lot more than me in life. And sometimes some people as young as you, right? And I feel personally that this is actually very close to my heart as well. But I also like do certain things, right? Like I write sticky notes on my mirror every day. I wake up and see like how I want to see myself, and I do journaling a lot and I talk to myself, and I think this actually helps to beat imposter syndrome. And this is very normal for any person who's starting to achieve better and bigger things than they've ever thought about. So where do you think it really originates from? Like, how does it come in the picture?
I think it really comes by not just yourself, but also by comparing yourself with other people, right? Like, he's doing better than me. She's doing better than me. Why am I not there? I should be there as well, you know. And there's so much of toxicity that comes from social media, especially. And the reality is that social media is fake. Everybody is just posting their best parts of life, and you think that that's their whole life.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh my God, I'm struggling. They're not struggling. They're doing so well. वो इतना अच्छा कर रही है, वो इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं and stuff. And that's where this negative spiral starts, right?
Yeah.
And then you feel like you have these feelings of not doing enough, and it's really toxic, really toxic, especially for high achievers.
Yeah.
So I would say stop comparing yourself with other people, because as I said, God has put you in a specific situation. It was all planned, and He has a special plan for you, and He has a special plan for them.
Yeah.
So there's no point in comparing yourself, and just believe in yourself that you are on your road to greatness, and people take different paths.
Yeah.
Right. And some paths are faster, and they're like that, but most paths are like this.
Yeah.
So
I've heard this saying where it says, like, in the forest of 100,000 trees, no two trees look alike.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, the comparison is the thief of joy. And whenever you compare yourself with others, we should always know that this, like, one journey cannot look like the other one. Even if you were a sibling, even if you have a twin, it's never going to look the same way. And it actually hits sometimes harder than you think. I personally believe that, like, on social media, with the point that you talked about, we see a lot of things that are photoshopped. But because of this particular trends or the viral things or the themes that are going on, I feel that we have started photoshopping our own dreams. Like, we look at people's profiles, we look at their lives, and we start photoshopping our own. Like, this is how it should look like, this is how it should be, this is what goes viral, this is what's trending. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of social media is fake. That's, like, very nicely put together. And yeah,
I think that the root of all of this is ingratitude as well. I think that if we were just more grateful for what we have, then we wouldn't be comparing ourselves so much. We should actually be supporting all these people instead of, like, being jealous or wishing that you were there. Why am I not there? Like, you only say these things when you are not satisfied with your own life, and that needs a deeper conversation.
Yeah. I also want to talk about the environment here in Canada, right? It really matters a lot, like the type of people you surround yourself with. Like, when I came here, I remember being surrounded myself with just random people I never knew about, and then just continuing keeping their keeping them around so that I have someone to just be around with, so that I'm not lonely, right? So how do you manage your friendships, relationships here, and how do you stay in the healthy environment? Or are you even in the healthy environment right now?
Oh, that's so funny. Honestly speaking, in the beginning, I did not socialize too much. I just felt like I don't want to get too close to people, because that's not very healthy. I felt like I would get too dependent on them, you know, and I'm independent and I don't need anyone, you know. And then I realized that no, actually I'm lacking something in my life, and I need that support system. And then I just started associating with myself with like-minded people with similar values, etc. And I think in U of T Scarborough especially, there's a lot of diversity, a lot of Muslims, so it was not hard. Be part of clubs, because there's a lot of, like, student-led clubs. There's Punjabi Student Association, Muslim Students Association, Hindu Students Association, blah blah blah. You will always find your people in those areas. So, but also I would say family is so important. I think when we come here, we kind of forget our family. A lot of people go and party and stuff. I don't find that fulfilling. I feel like, why are you here in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So
I think this happened to me. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not a party person. Like, sometimes I do like to party with people I really, really trust. So one time this happened to me. This started happening, like, in a way that I was, like, in the middle of the dance floor, surrounded by my friends and people that I love, and I had a midlife crisis. I'm not in my midlife right now, but, like, that the crisis that just took all over me, that I had to leave that place, and I just exited the place that I was at, and just, like, came outside and started asking myself these questions. Why am I here? What am I doing? Is this even rewarding? I don't need to do this every other day. And I was not even doing it every other day, to be honest. I did it after so long, but then I just realized that I don't need this anymore to feel fulfilled. But this may be like different for some people. But I think I always talk about that book called Ikigai, which helps you find your own purpose and like question yourself all the time that what is it that I can help other people with? That's what your purpose is on earth. And then start thinking about how can I make money, and then start thinking about what is my hobby. So when you surround yourself with these questions along with the like-minded people, it becomes a package. It becomes something makes you like a one-man army, right? When you have these questions and people like these. So I would also like to move on and start talking about like more about Meds for Less, in a way that you said that you have like board of members and people, right, who sometimes come and go and volunteer. But the startup thing is already like very stressful, right? So how do you manage the risk and uncertainty that comes with it, with the startup?
I think that there's uncertainty and risk in life all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And you just have to face it, right?
Yeah.
There's no point of running away from it. You just have to actually embrace it.
Yeah.
Accept that this is your new reality,
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of people are in denial.
Yeah.
And so they're not even ready to face it. And if you don't face the problem, how are you going to overcome it?
Yeah.
Right? So that's step number one. And then step number two is, once you accept that this is your new reality, obviously work really hard towards it, do your research, reach out to experts in the field that can help you in that uncertain situation. The world of startup is super uncertain, full of risks. And I'm a neuroscience major. I don't even have any business background, no experience. This random, weird 19-year-old girl trying to, create a whole startup. It's scary, honestly. So you have to reach out to people, do your best. But, ultimately what really matters is trusting in God.
Yeah.
And then that just takes away your whole anxiety, right? Because you just leave it to Him. You do your best and leave the rest to Him. And then it's like, it's peace.
Yeah. I recently understood this part of coming closer to God. I don't think I had explored a lot about it, but when life comes at you all at once, and you think like, who is here, or like looking out for me, and then you start finding the spiritual journey more appealing. And I totally relate with you. Like once you just give it to God, it's things just start happening on their own for you. And also, you mentioned about this 19-year-old girl started doing her own thing in the startups and all of that, and the university and the scholarship part and the most, like everything all together gets a lot. But there's one point which is like the academic area or educational area where you go to university. Are there any suggestions or anything that would be helpful for international students in terms of how to talk to a professor, how to build connections, how to, seek resources? And in that term, do you have any suggestions for international students?
Definitely. So this suggestion would actually be for any student, right? So a lot of students, they're just scared. They're just scared of putting themselves out there, talking to professors, because like, how am I supposed to talk to this really smart and old guy,
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, just be confident and
Yeah.
stop overthinking. Like, it's all in your head for real. And once you kind of, the saying, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Actually fake it till you make it. Stop thinking that nobody's thinking about you when you raise your hand in class. People actually find that inspirational.
Yeah.
So put yourself out there, be confident, attend those office hours, get involved, because university life is not coming back.
Yeah, it is never coming back. I personally miss it so much. It's been just three months since I've left college, but I already miss it. And this fear of thinking that if the person's older than you or has more experience than you does not mean that like you should not approach them or you should fear them. There definitely are professors and definitely people who are here to teach us, but we should not be intimidated by them. And raising your hand is actually very inspiring. It's actually like one of the signs that you know what you're doing sometimes and you have confidence. When we come here as an international student, we have a lot of things to figure out. There's a lot of things are happening all at once, and you don't know when the life will throw another curveball at you. So you come from, like, you grew up in Dubai, right? And you have roots in India, and now you're studying in Canada. So how do you think the cultural difference impact the way the mental health is perceived in these three countries that you've been to, or you've visited, or you've grown up? So what is your take on that?
So I come from a tiny village in India. I'm from Orissa, and there's a tiny village over there. And mental health is not even a thing. Like it doesn't exist. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
When you're going through some mental health struggles, the people themselves don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And when that is happening, three things happen. Either they think you're possessed, usko jadoo ho gaya hai, or there's some sort of shaitan in him, possession, or ye pagal ho gaya hai, okay, you're crazy. इसको जाओ ठीक करो, डॉक्टर के पास लेके जाओ,
झाड़ा करवाओ,
or इसको शादी करा दो, ठीक हो जाएगा. These are the three things that happen. It's not real, it's not taken seriously, and it's a big problem in India.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate, right? Because it's so clear that this person is going through something. Little kids, the fourth thing that happens, beat them up. थोड़ा सा चपाट मार दो, खलास वो ठीक हो जाएगा and stuff, right? And it's really sad, and all that does is instigate fear, and that's a sad reality. Now in Dubai, very recently mental health has become a reality over there, but very recently. Most of the people still don't recognize that it's a thing, but Canada is a whole different world. Here it's like it's so normalized that at least they don't shame you for it, right? And you have, UFT insurance, for example, has free therapy coverage, $125 for like 20 visits a year. So many people don't even know about it. But in places like Dubai and in India especially, all the people around you, if you're seeking therapy, if you're going for mental health treatment, they're like, pagal khane mein usko dal diya abhi. It's not seen as something positive. There's so much of stigma around it, and that deters people from seeking help. That deters people from having open dialogue about their feelings, because as a desi person, especially as a man, you're not supposed to talk about your feelings, otherwise you're weak. So I would say Canada is amazing in that front. You don't feel judged. The people that I look up to, my friends that are doing so great, they go to therapy. And I'm like, what do you need therapy for? You're doing so good. And she's like, no, it's just good to have therapy anyway for further development. We don't even see it as that. We only see going to therapy if you're going through some mental health struggles. But actually, in reality, we all need therapy. If you're going through struggle or not, it's just good for your well-being to be able to communicate and talk to someone about what's in your head, what you want to do in your life, what's happening.
Definitely. I think nobody should see therapy as visiting a doctor. It should be seen as going to talk to someone about what you're going through or what you want to improve in life. Because therapy is always seen, you're very right, that it's always seen as, oh, she's not feeling well, he's not feeling well, so that is why they're going. But what therapy actually does is it actually helps you to increase your emotional intelligence. And once you have more EQ, it helps you to understand life better. Because when you're in therapy, you get to know more about your own self, like how life is and how I face issues or handle stress, and what can be some other ways to handle it, right? Most of the times we just don't know how to get out of the situation. We feel that, okay, we'll just store it in ourselves and make it a huge deal, and one day it'll burst out and that's how it's going to be solved, because that's how we solve things most of the times. We don't seek external help for it.
One more thing that I just want to add is that what happens a lot is that if you go for therapy, you think that people are going to think she couldn't take it. She couldn't take it, that's why she's going for therapy. She needs help. Right? She's not strong enough. So it puts you as though you're weak for going for therapy.
Although you're trying to become stronger.
Exactly.
It goes opposite.
Shameful. They shame you for it.
But it's actually not at all shameful. How do you think international students take it? Do you think there's any awareness between them?
Honestly, there's a lot of resources I've heard in university about mental health, call this helpline, call that helpline. I personally haven't used any of them. There's nothing for international students specifically. I don't think so. I'm not aware of it. But all I know is that insurance coverage is there for therapy. But all of this support is not being promoted properly. Nobody really knows about it. What number to call? When can I call them? Which therapist is covered by insurance or not? Is virtual possible? They're not really pushing it as they're pushing all these other things.
Do you think your university should have promoted it more?
100%. And also they should promote the need for it.
Yeah.
They only put it for if you need help, come. But a lot of people don't even recognize that they need help.
Yeah.
Right? We're not having those sessions. That open dialogue is not there. And that stigma is still there.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
You know?
I personally feel that there should be one separate lecture, like in the beginning or by the end of not by the end, like in the beginning when you attend orientation. Right after that, or maybe on the first or second day, there should be a guest lecture by someone, you know, who should just come and talk about it and normalize it between people. Because I remember when I was at Centennial, they were like, by the end of the year, I came to know and I understood that there are certain benefits that I can take. That I can take therapy for free. I can go talk to a psychologist. I can go talk to a psychiatrist. But it was by the very end time, not because our university, our college was very promotive of it. Like they would come and tell, but still, like if there was just one lecture or there was this, you know, one person especially coming in and talking, you know what, this is what we're going to do. This is where you can seek help from. And even if you're not going through anything, this is important and you should not create a stigma around it. Sometimes when I remember by the end of the last semester, it was my therapy time and I had to go to the clinic inside our own college. And I was a little hesitant about it, like telling my friends. I was just sneaky about it. I was like, yeah, I have some work. I need to go and I'll just be back in an hour or so. It's like, where are you going without telling us? Like, we should come along. It's like, no, you don't need to. I just want to be by myself. And why do you want to be by yourself? What's wrong? Stuff like that. And it's like, let me just be. And then I went and then I felt so good. And then I came back and told my friends later on. And they're like, why did she not tell us? Like, I didn't know how would you react, right? So it needs to be normalized.
Yeah, there's just one more thing is that so many people take advantage of therapy. Like in the UAE, seeking therapy and psychological support and even psychiatry is so expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $400 for one 1 hour session.
Whoa.
For one 1 hour session. And you know that nothing happens in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And it's their strategy to monetize you. And I have no idea why it's so expensive in the UAE. So it's like magic here where it's literally free and covered by insurance, at least by the uni insurance. It was completely shocking because I've had family members struggle and be diagnosed with mental health illnesses, but they cannot seek their treatment because of how expensive it is in Dubai. And India mein to it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So yahan pe it's like completely different.
Yeah. India mein, I think when I was in India, the minimum starts from 1,500 rupees, ranging up to 5,000 rupees, which is insane. I don't know how it makes sense, but it has actually become a market because the more we need it, people are like taking advantage of it, and that's very true. But we've talked about mental health so much and everything that you've been through or that was good and bad, but is there any specific good memory that you have had, like, or something like nice that happened after coming to Canada, and anything about it that you'd like to share with our audience?
That's kind of out of the blue. I think that there's a lot of stigma towards coming to Canada in the sense that, you know, you're not going to find any friends. Everything is so expensive. Itna thanda hai, you know, barf mein, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's okay. It's not that bad. You just have to find your people. But at the same time, don't think that life in Canada is so easy as well. Ke sab bas chale gaye to settle ho gaye, you know, because that's not it. You have to work hard. Ultimately, you know, trust in God. What I'm really grateful for, happy memory, is just all of the support that I've gotten from U of T, from my friends, from my family. It's insane how grateful I am and how much support everybody has given me, especially God. So, yeah.
Great, good to know. And it was actually amazing having you today.
Thank you so much.
I'm pretty sure people will be able to feel your energy through the lens, because this is what I felt when I met her for the first time. And that's when I decided I need to have her on show and I need to talk to her, and I need for her to be here and tell about her own experience. So thank you so much for coming and joining in today. You've been an amazing guest. You've been so positive, and this is what I also want to bring forward, the positive journeys of people who have come here. It's not all bad, and you just always have to take a leap of faith. Keep trying, keep on maintaining your mental health, your physical health. Surround yourself with positive people, impactful people. Socialize, do networking, go out, put yourself out there, raise your hands. Be as be as much strong and confident as you can. The potential.
Ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions. Like, do whatever that's required to be who you are, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to survive in this life, because it's going to just keep on throwing curveballs at you.
Otherwise, who are you?
Yeah. So just keep testing yourself, never give up, keep smiling, and JUS TV is here for more episodes, and you can find us here. Same time, same show, The Canadian Dream, and I'll see you next time with another amazing guest. Signing out. Thank you.